Guys, Ben here. So in this video, I'm basically going to answer YouTube's most searched for questions related to Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, it's gonna be like a quick fire round. So question number one, what is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu slash Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Okay, they're actually slightly different. Well, Jiu-Jitsu is a grappling based martial art fighting system, okay, where we utilize judo style throws and wrestling style takedowns to get our opponent on the floor, okay, on the mat. From there, we utilize pins, okay, to control and exhaust our opponent, and then we finish the fight in a number of ways. We could strike our opponent, but we prefer to use joint locks and strangleholds. An example of a joint lock would be the Americana arm lock. An example of a stranglehold would be a rear naked choke. Okay. Yes, we could finish the fight with punches, elbows, whatever it is, but believe it or not, you can actually cause more damage with a joint lock or a chokehold. Okay. If I crank a joint lock, for example, an Americana arm lock, I'm gonna really injure my opponent, okay? Way more than just giving them two black eyes. And with the rear naked choke, which is an artery choke, you can potentially kill somebody if you hold for long enough. Great. So what was the difference between Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Well, basically, Helio Gracie started learning judo, but because of his size and the fact that he was quite frail, he couldn't do a lot of the moves. Therefore, he adapted a lot of them, and he adapted it so much that it became a new martial art, which he founded as Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which was a predominantly self-defense martial art system. Okay, and then over time, as he taught it to other people, especially his sons, and then those people taught other people, and those people taught other people. Eventually, it got adjusted, okay, where it became less of a self-defense martial art and it became more of a sport, okay. And basically, when it became a sport, it became Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Question number two, how long to get a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? It really depends, okay. Really depends on you, how often you train. I would say 2 to 3 years on average. Okay. Question number three, how long does it take to get a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu? Well, again, it depends on you, how often you train, okay, and natural ability. But I would say anywhere between 8 to 12 years is the average, which is absolutely insane. If you go to a more traditional martial art club, for example, karate or taekwondo, it's not unheard of to receive a black belt within 3 years of training. Okay, so you just see the major difference between some of those martial arts and jiu-jitsu, be it Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, why does it take so long? Well, it's really, really complicated, and there are hundreds of moves. Okay, in order to be a black belt, I say you have to have seen, and have a basic understanding of around about 1,000 moves, but about 100 to 150 of them, of those moves, are going to become your A game, which you use on a regular basis. Okay, so it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of dedication to get a black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Next question, what does us mean in BJJ? Okay, well, us means respect. How long does it take to get a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu? Well, if getting a blue belt takes around 2 to 3 years, I'd say getting a purple belt is going to be, let's say 4 to 6. Again, it depends on you, it depends on your age, it depends on how tall you are, how strong you are, how intelligent you are. Sorry to say that, but it is a factor. How often you can train? Do you have any injuries? Who's teaching you? If it's a blue belt teaching you when you're a white belt, it's going to take you a while to get good. Okay, but if you've got a third degree black belt teaching you, well, then you're obviously going to improve faster. Okay, but the long story short is just keep on training and you'll get there eventually. Awesome. Next question, how to tape your fingers for jiu-jitsu. You might have seen some athletes have zinc oxide tape around their fingers. Why are they doing that? Well, there's a couple benefits. It can give you slightly better grip, okay? And people use it predominantly when they're sparring in the gi or the kimono, okay, which is that white or blue uniform that you see people sparring in, you know. To the layperson, it looks like people sparring in pajamas, but that's not the case. So yeah, basically people tape their fingers, okay, in order to get better grips. And the second reason is people actually tape the knuckles because after years and years of training, their knuckles become injured and they just want a little bit more stability around the joint, okay? From my experience, taping my knuckles actually makes it worse, okay? I feel that the joints are worse when I wake up the next day, so I would actually advise against it, or at least putting it off as long as possible, okay? That's my 2 cents. Next question, how much does BJJ cost? Well, it depends where you live in the world, it depends who's teaching you, it depends on a number of things, okay? How much is it going to cost? It depends on how much you train as well. So if you're training once a week, it's obviously going to cost less than if you have an unlimited membership. Personally, I wouldn't advise training once a week. It's not enough. You're going to get smashed by people that train 2, 3, 4 times a week, okay? I'd recommend training 2 to 4 times depending on your schedule. But basically, how much does it cost? Anywhere from like 50 to £100. If you go to like a world-class gym, they might charge you more, okay? Maybe even up to 150, but that's like the top of the food chain, world-class schools. How to prevent cauliflower ear in Jiu-Jitsu? Well, basically, cauliflower ear comes from the friction when your head rubs against your partner's body when you're grappling, okay, because it's so close. And basically what happens is the cartilage in the ear breaks and it fills up with blood and unfortunately pus, and you need to get it drained. You need someone to put a syringe in your ear and for that fluid to be drained, okay? If you don't drain it, eventually it becomes hard, roughly around 5, 6, 7 days later, and then you have that hard, ugly look that is the cauliflower ear. How do you prevent it? Well, don't spar like an absolute maniac. That's number one, okay? Try and avoid rubbing your head against your opponent, okay? Try and keep it static. If you feel any pain or discomfort in the ear, stop sparring, okay? And maybe ice it a little bit to reduce the inflammation. And you can also wear like the wrestling style cups on your ears, okay? From what I've heard about those things, it's good at preventing cauliflower ear, but if you have it already, it makes it worse, okay? Because it basically rubs the ear and that's what makes it worse. So, how do you prevent it? Well, just don't roll like an absolute maniac. Next question. How to wash a BJJ gi. Okay, so the gi is the kimono, the uniform. They come in many different colors, usually white or blue, but then you see black ones, you see gray ones, you see pink ones, you see crazy ones. You wash it in the washing machine, like anything else. However, do not put it on a hot wash, okay? Because what's going to happen is you're going to shrink your gi and you'll put it back on and it's going to be absolutely tiny and you're going to have to replace that gi, okay? I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've heard of people going on to a store like Tatami, they buy the coolest looking gi that's really expensive, they use it once, they put it in a hot wash, and then they've ruined that gi because it's absolutely tiny, okay? So make sure you wash it on a cold wash. All the washing machines have a cold wash setting, put it on that, okay? What to wear to no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes. Yeah, so Jiu-Jitsu classes take different forms. Some focus on takedowns, like wrestling. Some focus on leg locks, okay? But basically, overall, you have 2 forms of classes. Ones that are trained in the gi, in the kimono, and ones that are not. So what do you wear to a no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class? Well, shorts and a t-shirt. That's what you need. I'd also recommend a gum shield in there as well. And we don't really wear groin guards for Jiu-Jitsu because it makes it very difficult to do arm locks and stuff like that. I would highly advise getting a rash guard, which is a skin-tight compression top. It's less likely to rip, and it's easier to clean, and it dries quicker as well. Okay. Next question. What is a red belt in Jiu-Jitsu? Basically, the red belt is the top of the food chain. It's the hardest belt to get. It takes about 65 years to get that belt. So basically, most people are going to quit. The very vast majority are going to quit well before they even get close to red belt. Most people are going to die before they get to that level because it takes about 65 years to achieve it. Okay. So basically, don't even worry about the red belt. If it comes, great, but chances are it won't. Next question. How to shrimp in Jiu-Jitsu? Yeah, I'm going to make a future video on this. What is a shrimp? Is basically moving your hips out to the side, okay? And shrimping is one of the most important movements in the whole of grappling, okay? If I took two random people right now from the street and have them fight, statistically it would end up on the ground at some point, and most likely one or both of those people are going to shrimp at some point during that fight, okay, without even knowing it, okay, without even learning to shrimp in the first place. You just naturally do it, okay. I would advise getting into the habit of doing long shrimps as opposed to short shrimps, and I'll tell you why in a future video. Awesome. How long does it take to get a stripe in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Well, if you're a white belt, it doesn't really take too long. Under Gracie University, we award you your first stripe when you have completed 20 lessons. Okay, so you could do that in, I don't know, 2 months, something like that. Obviously, some people go crazy. They train like 4, 5, 6 days a week, so they're obviously going to get it way quicker. Once you're a blue, purple, brown belt, it's going to take longer for you to get stripes, anywhere from 6 months to even a year or 2 years. You know, I've heard story of people being at colored belts for years and years and years, like 6 years at purple belt. It's crazy. And then when you're a black belt, it takes an awful long time as well. What is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu open mat? So basically an open mat is when people can practice whatever they want, okay? They can do gi sparring, they can do no gi sparring, they can do glove sparring, they can drill moves, they can sit and chat. It's completely up to you, you know, it's up to the students, okay? Most people roll most of the time, and it's a good time to have people from around your community try your gym, okay? So someone from out of town comes to that open mat session, you get to know them, and they get to see your school a little bit. How much do BJJ instructors make? Well, they're probably not a millionaire. How much do they make? Well, it depends on how good the instructor is. If you're a blue belt teaching privates, you're not going to earn as much as a purple belt or brown belt or black belt teaching privates. If you have a school with, let's say, I don't know, 100 students, you're probably going to make, I don't know, 5k a month, maybe. That's pound sterling. If you got 300 students, I don't know, 15k. But basically, people do martial arts. They teach martial arts because they love it, not because of the money. Although you can potentially live a good lifestyle teaching jiu-jitsu, okay, if you run your club, that is. If you just teach private lessons, probably won't make as much as if you're running a club, from my experience. Next question. How many stripes on a jiu-jitsu belt? Well, white, blue, purple, brown, black. White, blue, purple, brown have 4 stripes. Yeah, 4 stripes for the color belts, and then the black belt can go up to can have more. Basically, you have a black belt, and then you have a coral belt, which is a white and black belt, and then the last one is the red belt that we spoke about earlier. And you don't have stripes, you have dans. Okay, their name's slightly different. And if you get to red belt, the most you can get is actually 9. Okay, because Elio Gracie and the original Gracie brothers are the only ones that can have 10. Okay. Next question. How often should I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? As much as you can. Okay. If you train 4 times a week, you're going to beat someone that trains once a week. That's your size. Okay. Some clubs offer morning classes and lunchtime classes. Smaller clubs don't really have that luxury, especially if there's only one instructor. They're probably only going to have evening classes and maybe a weekend one as well. But how often should you train? As much as you want to. Okay, you're not a pro athlete, you don't have to train. You're not earning your living competing. So if you want to train, great, turn up and train. If not, have a rest day. Basically, if you're enjoying training, then you're probably doing something right. If you're feeling moody all the time and super achy and you feel like your progress is declining, it's probably because you're overtrained. So take a week off. Next question, how long does it take to get good at BJJ? Yeah, so I'm sorry to say this, but not everyone can get good at Jiu-Jitsu. I shouldn't really be saying this, but it does take a certain level of intelligence and mind-to-body connection in order to get good at Jiu-Jitsu. Some people, just aren't athletically gifted. Okay, no matter how much you teach them, they're just not going to be good. Not to say that they can't defend themselves in a fight or they can't submit someone that is slightly bigger than them, but from my experience, most people don't have the ability to get to black belt level. Okay, which is kind of the way it should be. The black belt represents the minority, the absolute top of the food chain. Okay. How long does it take to get good at, though? I'd say if you're a purple belt, you're probably good. You're probably the hammer and not the nail. And as I said earlier, it's going to take 5 or 6 years to get there. Awesome. And it's worth saying that if you're a high blue belt, you're probably smashing people as well. So it doesn't take too long to get good at Jiu-Jitsu, especially if you're watching content. How long is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match? Again, it depends. Different clubs have different times for their sparring rounds. Okay, most are like 5 minutes. Some go to 8 minutes. Some go to 10. It really depends on the club and what the instructor wants. If you look at competitions, the kids' sparring matches are going to be shorter, roughly 3 minutes. Beginner adults are going to be 5 minutes. And then once you get to black belt, I believe it's 10 minutes. Okay, so not that long in reality. Okay, I've heard stories of 2 black belts rolling, and there's no submission for like 45 minutes, let alone 10 minutes. So yeah. What are spats in Jiu-Jitsu? Basically, they are leggings. When you spar, you sweat a lot. So basically, it just absorbs the sweat a little bit, just like a rash guard. How to start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Go on Google, type in Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu near me, and something's going to come up. If you don't have a gym within your local area, I feel sorry for you. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. If you want to train, you're going to have to persuade someone to start training. Basically, try and trick them or sell them into the martial art. Okay, not an easy thing to do. And you'll also need mats or at least space in order to train. How many submissions are there in Jiu-Jitsu? Hundreds. People keep on making new wacky submissions, so the numbers just keep on going up and up and up. It's obviously not thousands, it does have a limit, but I've kind of lost count of the amount of ways that you can finish a fight. What color gi for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu beginner? White or blue? It depends on the club. Contact that club to find out. I train at a Gracie University club. We only allow white gis. okay, for professionalism. But yeah, contact your club and find out. What to wear for your first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class? Well, the club is going to supply you with a uniform. But basically, what do you turn up wearing? Just, exercise clothes, something that you feel comfortable in. What is pulling guard in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Pulling guard is when you kind of sit down and you pull your bad guy in between your legs. You lock your legs around them into a position we call the close guard. Okay, so you can just kind of step back and yank your partner down, and you can jump into it. Okay, but jumping into it is more dangerous. Okay, there's more to go wrong, and do not do it in a street fight. You'll get slammed on your head, and you're going to end up in hospital or worse. We're almost there. Why is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so popular? Yeah, it's a good question. Because it's really, really, really fun, and it empowers people. Okay, whether you're male or female, tall, short, fat, thin, it doesn't really matter. Okay, once you start beating people up, your inner confidence goes up, and that's very addictive. Last one. What is a sweep in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Yes. So a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sweep is when you go from the bottom of the fight to the top of the fight. Okay, you reverse the positions, and in competition you get points for that. So those are YouTube's most asked Jiu-Jitsu questions. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll speak to you soon.